Hi, I'm James McKelvin with the Properties Committee. This year has been a very unusual for the Personnel Committee with the COVID virus limiting where and how we could meet. It was necessary that the Personnel Committee begin meeting in April in preparation for hiring a replacement for our retiring maintenance person. During the remainder of the year, the Personnel Committee has conducted interviews, hired staff to fill the following positions: maintenance custodial supervisor, weekdays ministries director, a custodian with the support of the Properties Committee, 2 part-time social media tech support personnel, and a youth worship leader. The Properties Committee would like to thank the weekday ministry staff for all they did during the time without a director. We'd also like to thank our retiring maintenance person for helping the church after his retirement until we were able to hire his replacement. We have 2 annual staff positions that are not filled at this time. That is the Director of Recreations and Assistant Director of Recreations. And if you are interested in those positions, you can call me or the church office. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bobby from the Properties Committee. We met in October and voted to have a sidewalk installed on the back of the 307 building for the ladies' senior adult class. We're still working on bids, but Joey Jackson, our maintenance supervisor here, has let the committee know he's able to form this up himself if need be to help us save some money. We also approved in October to spend $6,100 to repair the front porch of the sanctuary. This will be repaired with an epoxy product that should be easier to maintain in the future. Sabrina Hutchings with our committee has agreed to meet with Renee Morgan. We're going to discuss paint colors for the Memorial Chapel. We want to get that project finished this year, and we're going to try to get the floor repaired in there as well. We also discussed lights in the sanctuary. We've got several lights out now. It's a pretty big undertaking to change those lights. So we're going to get some pricing from electrical contractors, and our plan is to have all the bulbs replaced at one time with longer life bulbs. We know this will be expensive, but we'll hope this will take care of lighting in the sanctuary for several years to come. We're still working on getting a bronze sign on the Memorial Chapel. The sign will be permanently affixed to the building. We've sought input from our history committee, and we want to thank Ms. Sudell Ambrose for her help with this. We're still working to try to get that finished. The problem is the actual bronze sign. We've got a company that can hang it, but getting a company to make the sign for us has been the challenge. We've had an issue at the church with unlocked buildings, so we're asking anyone that has a key and enters the building to make certain that they lock the building on exit. Please don't assume someone else is doing this for you. We've asked for money in next year's budget to better address this issue, but for now, we need everyone's help in making sure we keep the doors locked and the building safe. AC repair and replacement continues to be a major expense for our church. It seems that trend will continue. We have replaced a unit in the Memorial Chapel building recently, and we'll have to replace some controllers for units in the sanctuary building very soon. That actually has been approved by our committee as well, and that work should be done in the next few weeks. In previous meetings this year, the committee approved installation of sunshades at the children's building to allow for additional outdoor space. That was a request from Lori Sowers. Lori indicated that she had money in her budget to cover the expense. And then lastly, we wanted to thank Stephen Howell for his help over the years and wish him a very happy retirement. We also want to thank our Personnel Committee for selecting Joey Jackson as Stephen's replacement. And we can already tell Joey will do a great job for FBC Rincon.
Hey guys, it's Renee Morgan, Hospitality. We sure do miss y'all. I'm here to tell you what we've done over the last several months, back since March and April. Because of COVID, Hospitality fed all of the major hospitals, all 3 of them, and we also fed Lewis Cancer Center a meal to help in their relief for COVID. In May, we did a graduation celebration for our seniors. We did feed them. June, July to September, we served snacks and drinks to all the police officers in the county, in Effingham County, along with our women's ministry, the WAM group. In October, I fed Pastor Gary had a pastor meeting, and we fed them a good breakfast. We also fed a couple of the football teams, and so that our youth pastor could get in there and have a little say. We also made barbecue meals to sell at the patch, just to spread a little love. We did a homecoming continental breakfast just last week. We got lots of stuff we hope to be able to do by the end of the year. Y'all just keep praying, and hopefully we'll be back to normal soon. See ya.
My name is Greg Hartzog, and I'm giving a report for our worship committee that we met back in August. So we evaluated the worship services online and in person, and we discussed long-term planning for recordings and for live audio improvements for our equipment in the sanctuary building. And we also, a decision was made to have another meeting later on, which we did, to further discuss the next step. So we met and we discussed getting a recommendation from Frank Andrews at Portman's regarding a fill-in speaker for the front stage. And Frank visited our church, our worship services, to evaluate the room. We have purchased a rack for amps to relocate for security in one of the back rooms, and we will be approaching the Properties Committee about some electrical needs that we have for the new amps. We also discussed the 2020 budget. My name is Greg Hartzog, and I'm representing the Senior Adult Leadership Committee. We had a meeting back in August, and we've had several since then. But we planned the following events for the senior adults. August the 30th, we had a Sunday on Sunday event with about 60 people here. We have been having porch visits to our homebound senior adults through August, September, and October to over 20 senior adults. October the 11th, we had a Pumpkin Palooza dessert event on a Sunday afternoon with 60 people coming to that. And then in October, we had, October the 13th, we had a fish fry at McKelvin's house with approximately 60 people in attendance. We also had a bingo in the patch on November the 1st with about 18 people present for that. We are staying in connection with our senior adults with cards and phone calls the cards are being sent to the senior adults throughout the month by a couple of our volunteers. And so we've been keeping in touch with our senior adults through the months.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Davis on behalf of the Trustees Committee. Just wanted to fill you in. We met twice prior to COVID, and in the last 60 days or so, we've met, I guess, via email to approve the cleaning contract. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Diane Fraley, Chairperson for the Bereavement Ministry. I would like to present to you our report for the November 2020 Quarterly Conference. My written report shows that as of October 30th, we had 9 longtime church members who passed away. They are as follows. In February, Velma Gasser, Bryant Roberts, Mary Nell Radford. In March, Eunice Hindley and Faye Lancaster. In May, Jason Ledford. In September, Frances Calloway and Jean Spradley. And in October, we lost Thomas Owens. Since submitting my report, we have lost 3 more church members in November. They are Una Usher, Gary Hodges, and Alice Cochran. In total for the year, the bereavement ministry has served 12 church members' families. In closing, I would like to thank committee members and church volunteers for their willingness to prepare dishes and help when needed. It has been an honor to serve our church members' families during a very difficult time in their lives. Thank you.
Hey, church families, great reports coming from Kids Committee. So our pumpkin patch went fantastic. We were able to reach over 600 community families and had wonderful time selling pumpkins, playing games, had a great time with that. Looking forward to the North Pole. 'Twas the night before Christmas. This year, North Pole 2020 is going to be on December 18th and 19th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. But you're going to have to start registering your kids on December 1st at www.fbcrincon.com. For any other questions, feel free to contact us at the church office at 912-826-5536. Thanks.
Hi, I am Pastor Josh Murdarski, in charge of all Next Gen Ministries, and so I will be talking about what has transpired with our middle school and high school areas, and Lori, our children's director, will handle everything that has happened in kids and in nursery. So to start off, we've had a lot of changes take place this quarter with our student ministry, middle school and high school. First of all, I just want to let you know that we have finally finished the renovations for the new student area. It has come to completion over in the Next Gen building and partially in the weekday ministries building. So just to give you an idea of what has happened and what has taken place, the modifications that were made and completed up to this point over in that area is we now have a generalized student hangout area where they can either study, they can pray, they can communicate, they can have conversations in a quiet atmosphere. We also have a student game area, which is adjacent right to the hangout area. We have a student cafe in the Next Gen building where they can get meals on Sunday night. We have food, we have snacks, we have candy. We also have t-shirts and merchandise for them to wear out in public. We have a check-in area where attendance is taken on Sunday mornings for all classes, middle school and high school. And then on Sunday nights, they have a check-in for all students, visitors, regular attenders, leaders. They check in every week, which helps us keep tabs on who's coming, going, when they're visiting, when they return, all those great things. We have a designated middle school worship area, which is new. We've never had that before. And over in the weekday building, one of the larger rooms was converted into a middle school worship area designed just for them, for the way that they get to sit and relax and do worship on Sunday mornings. And then we have a designated high school worship area, which is in the theater where some renovations had taken place. And on Sunday nights, we have a full band, we have seating, we have lighting, we have everything we need upstairs in that high school worship area. So all of those physical changes have taken place this past quarter and come to completion, and we have been using them regularly and to great success. Moving on, some of the other changes that have come along is the development and purchase and distribution of a student ministry t-shirt that all of our students and leaders or church people can wear out in public. We have our logo, our brand, our name, everything on that. And those are free for anybody that wants one. And every year we plan to release a new t-shirt that we can have and we can use and our students can wear out. So we have a new one coming in 2021. All of the student media social platforms have been expanded, and they now include a student YouTube channel, a student Snapchat, and a student Instagram. Those are all added to what we previously had, which was a student Facebook page and a student web page connected to the church web page. So we have 5 to 6 media platforms to which students, parents, visitors, anybody can get information about what is going on in middle school, high school, all Next Gen Ministries. Those are now done. All of the Next Gen Ministries from nursery through high school all got a revamped logo, and we went and branded our Next Gen Ministry. So we have, you will see the 3 flames, which one stands for our kids ministry, one is middle school, one is high school. We have a white, a blue, and a navy colored, but it's also a symbolism of the Trinity. And so that is our student ministry Next Gen logo. We are sticking with a 3-colored flame. And all the colors that are in there are the church colors. So if you have any questions about, why do we have a blue flame? Flames are red. That's why we use the church colors to fit that brand. You will see that brand and you will see all the new logos on signs around the campus. We have flags, we have signage, we have banners, we have all kinds of things with that logo on it, including our t-shirts. For people to see and understand where to go on Sunday mornings, Sunday evenings, things like that. Moving on, addition to the signage and the branding and all of that, there has been an addition of a part-time worship leader for the student ministry. Up until this point, we've had students filling in for the past year and a half, and God opened the doors for us to bring on somebody part-time. His name is Zach. And he's already come once and filled in that slot. And all he's doing is replacing someone that we've had in the past. It just took us about 1.5 years to find somebody who was qualified to come in and who had the schedule to come in and do that on a regular basis. So we can answer any of those questions you have about Zach. Understand it's not a new position. It was just a position we weren't able to fill until we found somebody. So we didn't create anything new. It's the same exact spot. It was in the budget and everything. So moving on, in the community, I've been extremely busy trying to make connections within the community, within the schools, and so I've been plugged into the Rincon Rec department and reaching parents through that area. But I also went and got certified through GHSA to be a coach in Effingham County at middle schools, high schools, and took all the tests, passed all the tests, got officially certified, which opened up the door for me to be a coach at one of the local high schools. And I have been coaching a football team at one of the high schools, which has given me an open access to the school and to students that I have never, ever gotten a chance to meet before. So far, we've had a lot of great feedback from that. It's been exciting. It's been really challenging, but so far I am enjoying every minute of it. I'm excited to see what other doors this will open up in the future at maybe other schools, just having that availability. And then combine that with, we have also received in our area a new director for FCA, which is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Her name is Ashley, and I've been meeting with Ashley probably for about 4 to 5 months now. And I've been introduced her to different people at different high schools and middle schools, and we are starting to do the best we can to get our FCA foot in the door to do as much as we can. But just like the rest of the world, COVID makes that entry a little bit more difficult. But having my certification allows me to get my foot in the door and to get things started where other groups just can't get in. So God is working some really great things out within the community, and us and our church has a presence. And we are starting to see some feedback from that, which so far has all been very, very positive. Moving on. Tasks on the agenda for the rest of 2020 and 2021. Just want to make sure that people understand with our committees, we have been trying to do our committee meetings virtual and sort of on demand. We've had good success with that. And some of the things that we are discussing right now is, what does student ministry and next gen ministry look like moving forward in a COVID world? And so we are trying to see what we can do online, and I am attending roundtable meetings. I am listening to podcasts of other people around the country, large churches, small churches, everything in between, seeing how they are handling things. And we are trying to put together a hybrid of what we think will work for our culture, our community, and our students. So what works in one place may not work in another. So we are testing a lot of things. Some things may fail. Some things will fail, but we will have success with some other things. Moving on to activities. Once again, we had a great schedule of activities planned. It all got blown up. We are looking to put some other things in place. For December, we are looking at doing a paintball activity, probably that first weekend in December. We are looking to do an all-nighter or a lock-in, maybe the first or second weekend in January, which would both be a combined high school and middle school event. We had an amazing race with our high school only, which was a fantastic event. We had a lot of students show up for that. And as we get ready to look for the summer of 2021, we are looking at having a stateside mission trip to ease everybody back into the travel process instead of just jumping right into international. We are looking to put some things stateside, and we are having discussions about that. And there are talks of a mission trip to Jamaica with Danny and his group, with some individuals who are going to try to go as families. All right, sorry I stuttered there for a minute, but they're going to try to go as a family unit. If you're interested in that, you can see me. I will point you in the right direction on where to go with that. The details on that are very touch and go with every trip, just because we don't know what the future holds. And so we just ask everybody to be patient with us and understand the world we live in changes every single day. And so we can plan for what we can plan for, but if things get canceled, they get canceled. It's not for lack of us trying or us not being prepared. It's just the way that the world works at the moment. We are also looking to do a student retreat again. We had a massive success this past summer with our student retreat, but we are looking to do something different than we did last year and have a different atmosphere in a different place, something fresh, something new. So we have that on the agenda. Once again, we're working out the details. And the last two things that are going on in the Next Gen department for high school and middle school is we have a great indoor space for our students. We are looking at adding some great outdoor space for our students. The addition of basketball hoops, a new 9-square, a gaga pit, maybe a place for them to hang out and sit outside with a fire pit. And we are looking for locations on the campus where we can add those without losing any parking space. So we have that going on for the outside space to draw students and parents' eyes to, hey, what's going on over there? They care about our students. They care about my kids. That's what we're looking for. And lastly, since I've got here, we have used the Orange curriculum. If you're not familiar with Orange, Orange is a company, I believe is out of Atlanta, and they are used by a lot of people. But our students are starting to push past that threshold of base level teaching, and they're starting to, in a great way, look for something deeper. And so coming in at the very beginning, I wanted to get a baseline of where we were all at. And so it is pretty obvious that we can continue to do Orange with our middle schoolers for the time being, but our high schoolers are requiring a whole lot more depth. And so I've done some research, and it looks like we're going to try to do a shift from the Orange curriculum in the high school to a curriculum called Grow. It is a great company, and we're going to try that. It's a little bit deeper than what we're normally used to, and we'll see how our students react to that. The formats are very, very similar. Theirs just seems to be a lot more depth to what we can talk about, which is going to help us build our student disciples. So those are all the things that we have handled this past quarter, and to give you a little bit of insight of what we're working on right now and going into the next quarter. So obviously there'll be things added to that, but this is the direction we're going. I would be glad to answer any questions that you have about any of this, talk to you about any of this, and point you in the direction of where any of those things are going. So thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful to you, and I will look forward to any of your questions as they come in through the internet. Thanks.
Mission Team's quarterly report for November 2020. The mission team consists of 5 voting members, 4 ex officio members, and several who serve to assist in meeting the needs of a set contact for each ministry and mission we are participating with. Mona Underwood is Vienna, Michelle Hand is Faith Equestrian, Robbie Cowart handles Trutland House, Marcia McCoy handles Manna House, Karen and Ken Adams handle foster care. Ken Moore and Kathy Moore are over Spicy Grove, Jamaica. Lenny Pye is an ex officio, and he's also Project Hope Worldwide and All People's Church in Minneapolis. Beth Pye's ex officio, and she's over Family Promise. Stacy Bolton is Asia. Ray Hand is FCA in Little Earth, Minneapolis. Pregnancy Care Center does not have anybody assigned to it at this time, nor does Habitat for Humanity. But it's not that those two go uncared for. We just all kind of take turns with that. We began 2020 by hosting Grace and Danny Myers to come in, and Grace was gracious enough to speak at our women's tea, which was a great success. They were able to meet with a lot of people, have lunch with some people, meet with a lot of groups around the church while they were here, which was really nice. But then COVID came along and changed the direction of all of our mission trips and mission events and programs for several months. As COVID had shut down so much, by the end of March, the mission team knew we needed to get busy and figure out how to keep moving the gospel forward during COVID. Mission trips were canceled, the golf tournament was rescheduled for late August, and we began to reach out locally and wider for how we can serve from a distance. During the height of the COVID crisis, we continued to meet, and Gary also met with us and gave us direction. Manor House, they had to completely revamp everything they did. Our church stayed in constant contact with them, working with them. And on March 17th, they had their first drive-through food distribution, actually had 3 that week, and then went on to have 1 a week every week since. There was a couple of weeks the city of Rincon shut them down just so they could work out all the traffic issues they were having, but has pretty much ran solid. We all got together and determined with how they had revamped Manor House, with their warehouse space now and how they were doing food, that it was best if we turned the Boxes of Hope program over to Manor House, because we could do so much more and reach so many more families doing that than we could doing it here on our property. We went from about 850 boxes last year to this year we're doing 1,500 boxes on Manor House's property. And we're still a big player in that, but other churches are now involved and we're able to reach more people. The mission team has given Manor House $1,500 to purchase food for our church to participate in a food distribution drive, which will take place on Sunday, December 6th from 3 to 5. And we look for anyone who wants to participate, contact the church office, because we can use as many volunteers as possible. We'd love for you and your families to get involved. We hope to serve about 500 families that day. Faith Equestrian was hit very hard by COVID. They did their sports camps their horse camps through the summer, and those stayed pretty full, but they were not going to be able to do their Effingham School program in the fall, which is a big money thing for them and a big source of income. They're hoping they can start back with the school system in 2021. They did continue doing therapeutic riding, including veterans that were being sent to them through Wounded Warriors, so they're still able to reach people. They also have a new CEO in 2020, and but they did have a Boots and Barbecue event this past month, October, and it had a great success. Every table was sold, so they were able to raise a lot of money through that. The Pregnancy Care Center remained open throughout 2020. 2019, they limped through with their ultrasound machines, losing them both at the end of the year, which was a major issue since, you know, we now have this heartbeat bill in Georgia, which is vital for the life programs and these care centers. So our church at the end of the year last year gave $2,000 with other groups and churches to help them purchase an ultrasound machine, which put them up and running this year. They've done well. Go to our Facebook page and look for a site on there. They had to have their conference they have every year, which is another big money maker. Because of COVID, they had to do it virtually. So they depend on groups to go look for that link and go on and do it. You can do it whenever you want to, and it encourages you to get involved and make those monthly contributions which help them financially. Foster care has been delivering bi-monthly meals to local families that have fostered to adopt 5 children. They've partnered with families interested in fostering. The Adams have fostered 6 children in the area. Becky and Robbie Cowart, Kathy and Dwayne Ladner, Shawnee and Adam Fritz, Greg and Deborah Wynn, Pat and James McKelvin, Brian and Sharon Horton, Tina and David Krapps, and the Sullivans and others have provided support with furniture, toys, meals, transportation. There's a great support being built for foster care through our church and that ministry. Trutland House, Robbie Cowart's building a great relationship with their leaders. They're still adjusting to a new normal around the Trutland House, but overall they're doing well. They are working on a kitchen renovation, and we were able to give them $1,600 towards that to help them this year. A successful yard sale was held at Bible Lutheran for them, and that was a great success. They're going to continue working. We'll continue working with them. Family Promise lost a lot of their coordinators and leaders, but those have been replaced. Family Promise in Chatham, Effingham, Bryan counties restructured in 2020 to become Family Promise of Greater Savannah under the leadership of Executive Director Christina Bostwick. Due to COVID-19, our overnight families that go in and stay have not been able to do that. Each church now contributes $500 for their week to pay for someone to sit with the families at night. So the same person is with them all week, and people aren't coming and going through there for their protection and safety. So First Baptist Church has given $1,500 for 3 different times that we would have normally sent people in. Churches do continue to provide meals. Their prayer needs are for our nation and leadership, for strength, understanding, and patience, and compassion and love. All People's Church in Minneapolis in 2020 got hit hard. It was a year of upheaval and change for them. Sam Choi and his family lived just blocks away from where all the rioting and burning took place. Sam shared stories of children and families sleeping in bathtubs during the night while parents stood guard. And this has caused many levels of needs within the church and community. But the upheaval has also opened doors for outreach. 2020 was going to be the end of our financial relationship with All People's Church. They were ready to constitute as their own church. They had done well financially over the last 3 years. Just everything was just ready for them to go out independently. With this happening, all of us unanimously agreed that we would continue our financial support through 2021 because it wasn't a time to leave them. It was a time to wrap them up a little closer and support them. All People's Church are in a desperate situation. The entire mission team is unified now that we want to continue support. Their big thing now is they need counseling. People are traumatized by what they've lived through, and so we'll be discussing in the days ahead how we can assist financially with that counseling that Sam Choi and his church so desperately need. They're a very diverse church, and they are now really needing teams to come in and help them. They're begging missionaries to come and be a part of what they're doing there, so that is a major prayer need. Spicy Grove, Danny and Grace are continuing to serve their community. Most of the community work in hospitality there in the Spicy Grove area, and COVID has shut down all of the hospitality industry. So there was a great need there, but Danny and them have been more than able to provide food and things to help them there. Danny was able to get back into the country for a little while, and we met with him just a month or so ago, and we are going to try and work to get both an adult team into 2 teams, an adult team and a youth team there in 2021 if COVID allows. And we really are wanting to encourage you to come by their table on Orphan Sunday, November 29th, because sponsorship of their children is important. Project Hope Worldwide, Board of Directors announced the 4th project at its first ever Hope Gathering Thursday night, October 8th. Lynn Becker, President and CEO, said he announced to 150 guests present, when it comes to children in crisis, India has no rival. India has more orphans than any other country in the world. Child laborers in the Indian silk industry get just 1 work day per year. Girls as young as 7 are being forced into prostitution, and 30,000 girls are trafficked annually in India. He asked everyone sacrificially to give to this project and successfully launched their newest project, which will be in India. Funds raised that night and over the following weeks will provide holistic care, a used van, a motorcycle for the director, furniture, beds, refrigerators for 22 orphans that they already have lined up. He went on to say, I'm often asked the question, how do you decide each time where PHW's next project is going to be? We original founders established PHW with what I would call a certain uncertainty. We were certain that the Lord wanted us to be worldwide in our reach. but we were uncertain where that meant beyond our initial launch in Uganda, Africa. All we know is this: we have to have vision beyond our resources, and we will allow the Lord to take us to places we did not intend to go in order to accomplish through us what we could not achieve on our own. We have learned much over the last decade about successfully starting new projects on 3 continents, and we've applied those key learnings again 2 years later. The Monday before Thanksgiving 2018, a former pastor of mine now living in Florida called me, and this is Lynn Becker talking, and asked if I would have breakfast with a young man from South Asia, and that was in Tulsa for his friend's wedding. My pastor had met with this young man while doing mission work overseas several years earlier. At that breakfast meeting, I first heard his story. He shared his experience of becoming an orphan at a very young age, and even now as he shared those stories, he would occasionally break down in tears. As a young boy, he was raised in combination boarding schools and orphanages. The kids in the boarding school all had parents, and on visitation day, the boarding students would jeer and mock him, saying, "Your parents not come. You don't have parents, you orphan." He longed to be like the other kids and to see his parents walk through the door someday to see him, but they never did. He came to know Christ during this time, and because of his experience as an orphan boy and his love for his people, he and his wife are now caring for 22 orphan boys and girls in a 1,200 square foot home. Now, we are not looking to expand PHW or even considering a 4th project, but I was deeply touched by a story, and I sensed that this was one of those appointments or opportunities that the Lord was placing before me and before PHW. I came home from breakfast and told my wife, I believe the Lord wants PHW to help this young man. Over the next 12 months, as the board of directors prayed and we fulfilled our due diligence, the Lord directed us to Isaiah 54:2. Enlarge the place of your tent, stretch out the curtain of your dwellings, spare not. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your pegs. It was clear to us that the Lord wanted us to enlarge our tent, to bring in more orphans, to make a tent larger. It takes stronger anchors or stakes and longer ropes or cords. For us, this meant before we could expand to another project, to bring in more orphans, we had to ensure that our current projects were financially strong and had the systems, structures, and staffing in place to sustain their operations in the long term. After much prayer and due diligence, the PHW Board of Directors unanimously approved the launch of PHW's 4th project in India. I could go on, but we also would like to tell you that Lynn will be here November 29th, and he will be sharing more about the India project, and we're excited to add India to what we're also doing here at Rincon First Baptist. PHW is one of those sound, strong, godly groups that you just have to draw into and be a part of what they're doing. If you've ever done Experiencing God, you know when you see God working that strongly somewhere, you joining. The Barbuska family in Vienna, we're keeping up with them. Pray for them on Tuesday, the 17th. Vienna goes back into quarantine. So pray for them as they do the lockdown. They have learned to reach many through these, and I'm sure they will again. Phil reached out to a lot of elderly people in the building. We're able to shop and do grocery shopping for them. Their church in Vienna now, though, wonderfully, the Dobling Church and IMB leadership and Phil, they've all met together a good bit over the last few months. And Dobling Church is willing to step out and assist and help Phil and Becca begin a church plant there in Vienna in that district. So Phil and Becca asked for your prayers in this area. Also for the boys and Phil and Becca to remain well during this time. And then they also are preparing to come home. They'll be coming home in December, travel allowed for their 6-month furlough. And I know Becca is ready to come home. Pray for her. She is one of Francis Calloway's grandchildren, and they lost Francis a few months ago. And it's been especially hard on Becca to be away from home during the loss of her grandmother. Asia, they are no longer on lockdown, and again visiting with nationals. They're again visiting with nationals for tea and meals and conversations. Special prayer requests for language skills. A friend who is asking spiritual questions and a desire to go into ministry full-time despite having health issues is also a prayer need. This assignment is up in May of 2021, and our missionary there will ask for an extension. So there is also a desire, if COVID allows, for a group to go there in 2021. Little Earth, Minneapolis, since early fall, they've been bringing people, several people from our Little Earth Fellowship to Sunday services at another church. They're not able to use the facilities they've been using. And now that weather's getting cold, they're having facility issues because they can't gather in those small places because of their numbers. So just pray for them as they go through that. Little Earth became a community ministry and a part of Bethlehem Church's urban ministries. Our financial commitment to Little Earth ends December 31st. However, we will continue to keep up with the Motts and encourage them and praying for them and continue to keep up with them. They are not a church plant. They're an urban ministry now. But continue to pray for them. They're dealing with COVID needs just like everyone else is. FCA, Rayhand is in contact with leadership and hoping to get back into the school soon. He read a message to us from a young man he mentored who is now playing college basketball. The young man thanked Ray for making a difference in his life and setting his life on a different course. You never know when you're planting seeds. FCA does make a big difference in our high schools and our schools. Habitat for Humanity has provided 21 new homes since 1995 and over 50 repairs since their founding. Affordable housing is crucial today, and Habitat depends on contributions and volunteers to make things happen. 2020 has been challenging for Habitat. They've been unable to have their normal fundraising activities. They need prayer and support. Habitat has begun its 22nd home and have scheduled 2 aging in-place home modification projects facilitated in part by a $5,000 matching grant for 5 homes. The FBC Rincon mission team has recently received the information on the matching grant and are in discussions on how FBC Rincon can assist with that. Habitat also is in need of contractors and volunteers to help with their projects. If you can help or you know a contractor or someone in construction that could be a part or help Habitat, call Jimmy Rutland and you can get his information at the church office. Operation Christmas Child, I'm not sure what the numbers are at this point, but I know they met that 1,000 box goal, which is amazing. I'm going to let James tell y'all in the future what they actually did do, but there was a financial contributor who was going to match box for any box they got over 651. The golf tournament, the second annual golf tournament, was rescheduled for late August due to COVID. Because of COVID, it was necessary to cancel the silent auction and dinner because of the crowd. However, we were able to raise $7,000 with the tournament. Everyone had a wonderful time, and we have scheduled the 2021 tournament for May 1st, 2021. Thank you.
Hello, church family. Don Fletcher here. I'm going to give you our quarterly report for Weekday Ministries Committee. So obviously since February, we've all been going through the same thing with COVID. It's affected Weekday Ministries tremendously, but they're putting everything in place to make sure that this goes through as quickly and as easily as we can. So I'm going to start in February and we'll work up to the current time. So back in February, they had a really good event called the Sweetheart Prom, and this gave the kids opportunities to get sponsorships, and they raised some money, and they used this money specifically for some new furniture, some new toys, and just things like that they needed. Moving into March, we kind of all know what happened there. We were in the processes of doing registrations and so forth like that, and then COVID hit, and of course we always allow for the current kids and church members to go first, and then about 2 weeks later we'll open it up and allow for the general public to join in. So mid-March happens, COVID happens, we basically have to shut down operations. That didn't mean that we stopped ministering to the children. They were still given packets and were allowed to come pick those up, and they continued to be ministered to throughout the early onsets of COVID and then up through the summer. So moving kind of into midsummer, our director at that time, Brittany Childress, she resigned. Her and her family moved away, and so we were kind of left in a situation with not having a director. And as usual, Miss Peggy and Miss Linda picked up the torch and once again continued the ministry moving forward as they always have in the past. So August comes around, we're now promoting kids up in the classes, and instead of having an open house where the parents and families could come in and meet the teachers, they did more of a drive-by event so the kids could come by and they would meet their teachers from their cars. And so then we move into September as the classes are starting to take on. We were blessed to have been during this time searching for a new director, and a lady named Miss Sigrid Schultz came in. She is now our current director. She comes to us by way of Indianapolis, Indiana, and she has about 18 years of experience in weekday ministry type services. So blessed to have her, and we ask that you just continue to keep her and what she's doing in your prayers. So October has been the challenges of hiring some new teachers and getting them qualified and getting them certified through the state and through those state guidelines. We're in the processes of that. We also went through a audit through the state, which is pretty standard. We passed that with their top rating and are still in good standings with them. So moving into where we are now, kids are in the classroom, all COVID protocol is in place with everybody having their temperatures checked. That's the kids and the teachers. Parents at this time are not allowed in the building as we're trying to limit the amount of people that are coming in and out of the doors. So with that being said, that's kind of where we stand at this point in time. I appreciate you guys spending a few minutes with me, and I ask as always that you continue to support Weekday Ministries and keep them in your prayers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bo Langham, and I'm a deacon and chairman of the projects team here at FBC Rincon. Some of our activities we've been able to help with this year are yard cleanup, landscaping, painting, changing light bulbs, and hanging some ceiling fans. If you or someone you know needs some help, please contact the church office, and I'll be glad to get in touch with you. Thank you.
Our first team up is stewardship, and we have 4 nominations. Helen Beasley, which is the replacement for Jeff Shea. We have Carlton Hodges, Keith Adams, and Scott Morgan. Our next team is personnel. We have Greg Wynn and James Gilliard. Next team is properties. We have Jason Small and Larry Cubbage. Our vision team has 2 positions. We have Wes Goff and Mark Elliott. Moving on to trustees, we have nominated Lenny Pye. For hospitality, we have nominated Connie Mitchell and Nancy Harper. For missions, we have Nilson Wachowski and Stephanie Harvey. For bereavement, we have Faye Ziegler, which is a replacement for Daryl Greenway, and Cheryl Schmidt and Anita Shannon. For our senior adults, we have Kay Schill. For preschool, we have Sarah Langham and Megan Thomas. For our kids team, we have Lorna Green, which is a replacement for Nathan Childers, Jana Marks, and Emily Smith. For our students team, we have Amy Fletcher and Meredith Lamb. And our final 2 teams, we have worship. We have Mr. David Goff and Kenza Murray. Our final team is Weekday Ministries, and our nomination for that is Ms. Karen Durkin. If you have any questions about any of the teams or the nominations or those positions that are available and are being filled for the 2023 rotation, just please reach out and give us a call or contact the front office. Thanks.
During the pandemic, our church continues to be extremely blessed. Thank you, church family, for your continued generosity. Here are the year-to-date financials through September. We have received $1,999,910, almost $2 million year-to-date, compared to expenses of $1,071,383 for a positive net of $928,527. Unfortunately, a lot of our groups were not able to meet, and a lot of our activities had to be canceled due to the pandemic, which has contributed to the expenses being much less. However, that provides us with yet another opportunity and a huge blessing, which is the notion the Stewardship Committee would like to bring to the church. The Stewardship Committee is making the motion to pay off our building loan. By December 31st, we will owe less than $100,000 on the building loan and would like to start our new year debt-free. The second notion Stewardship is bringing to the 2021 church budget is the proposed budget. The proposed budget is $1,342,773. Here are the breakdowns for each major component of the budget. Missions, $201,332. Ministry, $164,351. Christian education, $51,338. Personnel, $558,261. Property and equipment, $336,504. And general expenses, $1,036. Thank you.